welcome to another lesson. Today's learning goal is I can use order of operations to simplify expressions with absolute values and square roots, and I can find the square and cube roots of rational numbers with perfect squares and perfect cubes as numerators and denominators. So let's go ahead and get started. So in terms of order of operations, we treat absolute values like they are parentheses, okay? And then radicals, square roots, and cube roots like they are exponents. And hopefully later on in the year we'll talk about why that is the case, why we treat radicals like they are exponents. So, radicals like they are exponents. So, let's go ahead and get started with this one here. We have an absolute value right here, and we do not take the absolute value of any of these numbers quite yet. We have to wait until all of that expression simplifies to one number. So we're going to first do 9 times 6, so this multiplication happens before subtraction. So we got 99 divided by 55 minus 54 minus 8 squared. Then we do the subtraction inside the absolute value, so we get 99 divided by the absolute value of 1 minus 8 squared, and the absolute value of 1. Since it's just one number now, we can take the absolute value of that, and that is 1. So 99 divided by 1 minus 8 squared. And then we have 99, because 99 divided, then we have to do 8 squared. So we get 99 divided by 1 minus 8 squared, because exponents happens before division and subtraction. So it's 64. Then we have 99 divided by 1, so 99 minus 64, which gets us our final answer of, that would be 35. Okay? So again, we can't take the absolute value of anything unless we have just one number in the absolute value. Here we're going to, again, work with the absolute values first, and so we can start taking these two absolute values as two different parentheses. So 14 minus 2 is 12 divided by, in absolute values, 4 squared, which is 16, minus 19, absolute value, minus the cube root of 1,000. Here we can start taking the absolute value of this one right here, which is 12. Then we can do the absolute value of negative 3 minus the cube root of 1,000. Then we can take the absolute value of negative 3. Oops, the answer's right there. Did not mean to have that being shown. But the absolute value of negative 3, which is 12 divided by 3 minus cube root of 1,000. Then we have 12, then we have to do the cube root of 1,000. Now here's the key thing. The cube root of 1,000. What is the cube root of 1,000? Well, it is, because we have 3 zeros here, we know that each multiplication by 10 adds a 0. So therefore the cube root of 1,000 is 10. So we get 12 divided by 3 minus 10. 12 divided by 3, as we all know, is 4 minus 10, which gets us our final answer of negative 6. Here, this example is slightly different because here we have a fraction, okay? And all that entire fraction is in absolute value. So, what that means is that we need to simplify both the numerator and the denominator before dividing. It says, give your answer as a decimal. Okay, so that means we have to do this division eventually. So, we're going to simplify the top part. That's going to be easy enough. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 plus 4, or 4 plus 20 is 24. The bottom part is a little bit more difficult. So here we're going to have to do the cube root, or the cube of 3. So that is negative 3 minus 27 plus negative 10. All of that in absolute value. Don't forget that this is all in absolute value. Then we have 24 over Negative 3 minus 27, well, that is going to be negative 30 plus negative 10. All of that in absolute value. And then again, we have to add the bottom. Once we simplify that, we can get 24 over negative 40. Like that. Okay. Now this is considered one number. Okay, this is considered one number. This is considered a fraction. So then we can take the absolute value of that. So the absolute value of that is going to be the absolute value of, or excuse me, not the absolute value. We just took the absolute value of that. It's going to be 24 over 40. And you may notice that we can simplify that because 8 goes into both of these, and 8 goes into 24 3 times and goes into 45 times. So we're going to do 3 divided by 5, which most of us, I think, probably know what that is. That is going to be 0.6 or 6/10. You can also do the long division, top dog in the house, if you wanted to do that, if you didn't know that off the top of your head. So that is going to be 0 times into 3, and 5 goes into 36 times, so therefore it is 0.6. Or 6/10. Go ahead and try this one out on your own. What you should have found is that 9 minus 23 is negative 24. And then we take the absolute value of negative 24, which is 24. And then we also do 4 cubed, which is 64. And the square root of 4 is 2. Remember that we treat square roots like they are exponents, so we do exponents and square roots at the same time. The next thing that we do is the division, and according to order of operations, so 24 divided by 2 is 12, 64 divided by 2 is 32. Then we do 12 minus 32, which gets us our final answer of negative 20. Over here, we're going to try to take the square roots of some fractions. And so here, remember, we're trying to find what number multiplied by itself gets us this fraction. Now, this is going to be the same thing as the square root of 25 over the square root of 64. And the reason for that is because we know that square root of 25 is 5, square root of 64 is 8, and we know that 5 times 5 is 25, so that's why 5/8 times 5/8 gets us 25/64. Okay. Over here, we're going to do the square root of 81 and the square root of 121, which is 9 over 11. And then here, the key thing for this one is this is cube root. That means what number multiplied by itself 3 times gets you negative 8 over 64. Now, notice how that's a negative number inside this cube root, which means that our answer, because a negative times a negative is a positive, but a negative times a negative times a negative, a negative times a negative times a negative, because these two negatives cancel out, leaving this last one over here, gives us a negative. So therefore, our answer is going to be negative something. And so we need to find out what the cube root of 8 is, which is 2. The cube root of 64 is 4, so our answer is, once simplified, negative 1/2. Okay. This last one, go ahead and try that one out on your own. If you're having trouble finding the cube root of 216, we know it's going to be even, because evens times evens gets us evens. So make sure you're trying with that. Use all the evens that you know of. And I'll give you a hint. It is a single digit even. What you should have found is that this one is 6/5, positive 6/5, because the cube root of 216 is 6, and this cube root of 125 is 5.